So what is Mike Brown doing with Trey Hendrickson right now? And Duke Tobin with Trey Hendrickson right now, do you think?
Same questions. I saw that Schefter reported that correctly that the recent big deals have 3 years guaranteed in them. He also reported that so far the Bengals have offered 1 guaranteed. I don't know if that's correct or not. That would be very unfair and justify Hendrickson's actions. I do have to say that I think the fact the 32-5 sacks of the last 2 years in his case is a little bit misleading. He's still a very good player. He's still way underpaid. He deserves a sizable raise. But if you watch the tape of last year, watch which games against which players he got his sacks, you would say, you know what, he's starting to descend a bit. So I think he's a little bit below that group, and maybe that's the nature of the dispute, or maybe it's the length of the guarantee. But same thing. They have no chance of having a good season without it. And they already have some big challenges to do that with the way the defense is. But they have no chance if they lose the only proven pass rusher on the team. So unless he's being extremely unreasonable, they got to find a way to get that done, and sooner, not later.
Yeah, and then, obviously Joe Burrow was at the podium yesterday, and inevitably the quarterback is going to be asked about this. And, you're a longtime executive, in this league. I wonder how you think this soundbite landed in Cincinnati with all of these negotiations clearly going on or not behind the scenes.
Yeah, obviously disappointing. You'd like to have all your guys out there day one to try to build that cohesion that I was talking about earlier. But it's not how it usually works out. It's a business, and that is how it's gone.
That was a double sigh right there at the end, Joe. Like,
he was not masking his frustration very well, was he?
No, but how does that play into it on a negotiation? You want to talk about emotions? You're most important for the all due respect to everybody on the Bengals, highest paid employee is saying this.
I think it matters. I really do, and I give Joe credit. I'm not sure many players are in the position where they should try to be the GM, and he clearly didn't really want to comment, but at the same time, he didn't want to not support, his fellow player. And obviously he does want him there. You don't have to even ask him the question, that. But, the Bengals have a long history, and it isn't, being aggressive financially to maximize your chances of winning, kind of on all fronts. And now you got a quarterback that, has a chance to be one of the greats, certainly one of the top, say, 5 in this era. You could argue even much higher than that if you wanted to, and I wouldn't push back. And, he's being deprived of the chance that he should have by some decisions that are being made that don't put, football first. I think that there's a lot of guys, and Burrow appears to be with them, that obviously they love making a lot of money. They want to maximize their own income. But I still think if you put most of them against the wall and force them to tell the truth, they care more about winning than they do about the money. It doesn't mean the money isn't important. It doesn't mean they're not fighting. Just like every one of us that ever worked for a living wanted to get paid the most we could, within whatever is reasonable. But then you find yourself in a situation where you should be, establishing yourself partially through advancing through the deep into the end of the season, over the end of the season, maybe into the Super Bowls multiple times. He's being deprived of that opportunity in the last few years, and I think he fears it could go forward that way too.
And the last question on the Bengals, and then I want to talk to you about Chiefs and Eagles before I let you go on the rest of your day here, Joe, is a cash flow question about the Bengals. Is that fair? Because you got to put money in escrow for guaranteed dollars, and we were always talking about if the Bengals might be thinking about that. Is that a fair question to ask or wonder about all this, Joe, or no?
I'm going to say a little bit. I mean, the profitability of all of the teams in the league is such that the Bengals have to may use up, let's just say it that way, a larger percentage of their potential earnings than, for example, teams like the Eagles and Bears and Cowboys and teams like that. But they can still do it and have a meaningful profit at the end of the year unless they're really mismanaging the opportunities the franchise provides. So it is a little bit harder. It is some greater sacrifice on the parts of the owner. But it's not like some of the other sports, or even the way it was not that long ago with football, where you could have the bottom 2 teams in the league literally not making much profit. It's not the case anymore. The last 2 CBAs have put the league in a position, and like television contracts where every team in the league is doing well. But some still do better than others. So I'm not going to say zero. But the Bengals could still have a reasonable profit, in my opinion, and be able to afford player salaries and re-signing of players like most of the teams in the league are doing.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.